These little shrubs that I got on Amazon look like plastic and they're way too shiny, so we're gonna paint them today. My wonderful wife got me these on Amazon, and I want to see, there's a bunch of different kinds in here. I'm gonna go ahead and dump them out so we can see what we actually have here. It looks to me like this pack has 6 different types of little shrubs, and a few of them are similar. So this is the same, I don't know if you want to call it a sculpt or tuft or shrub, whatever you want to say, as this one, except it's just got different coloring. Then you have these two, which are essentially the same as well with different coloring. Then this one, which I really like a lot. And then there's these little, I don't even know what these are supposed to be, but they're the same thing with just different sizes. For this project, I'm going to be using my dual action Iwata airbrush and this compressor. I'll also be using Tamiya airbrush thinner, and I'll be using Vallejo paints for this project. The first thing I want to do is make sure that the paint is thin enough to use it in the airbrush, so I'm going to go ahead and mix the paint with the airbrush thinner. Once I get that good runny consistency, I'm good to go. As far as the paint application goes, I'm still very new at airbrushing, so I just take it slow and I try not to apply too much in any one given spot. I also keep in mind that color variation is good, so the main thing that I want to do is get rid of the shine with this color, but if there's some of that lighter color that still comes through in certain spots, that's something I'm okay with. Here's a quick look at how it looks after I have airbrushed it. And in case you were wondering, here's how it looks compared to the original piece. So the left one has been airbrushed and the right side is the original. I mentioned the need for color variation before, so I'm going to use this olive brown mixed in with the green that I already had in this cup. I still had some of the green left over, so I'm going to go ahead and mix these colors together after mixing them in the cup. These little shrubs very easily peg right into some XPS foam, so I put them in and then I painted them up, and this time I went even lighter than I did with the first coat because again, I don't want to erase everything I did before, I just want some darker color variation. Once that dries, I spritz on some black wash with a spray bottle to simulate some of the dark spots that you see on plants like ferns. And once again, here is what it looks like compared to the original version. I've never done this before, so what you're watching is me experimenting with the glue. I wasn't sure if this tacky glue would keep the shrubs in place, so I tried that first. And it didn't work out, so I went ahead and used some hot glue. I know that this probably isn't ideal at this point because I could get some stringing, but I thought that this would be a good way to instantly get the plants to set into the terrain. If I had to do it over again, I would probably peg the plants into the foam before doing the toilet paper and sand and all those things so that they would really be solidly in the terrain. But this way I think is going to be okay given the circumstances. As far as placement goes, I didn't want to overdo it here, and I thought around some of the rock structures would be a good place to do some of these first bigger plants. I also specifically didn't want to overcrowd the terrain base with plants because of all the modular trees and stumps and things that I've been creating, which you can watch videos of on my channel. I am planning to add in some other shrubs too, so there will be some variety. I don't want this to look like just a forest with one kind of plant because that's not very realistic. The next type of shrub I'm going to put in here actually isn't one that I'm going to paint. I got these at Hobby Lobby. I think they were on sale, normally $5.99, and they were 40% off. And then I just cut these little sections off. My plan for these is just to work around the already established plants and kind of fill in the ground area around those with the hot glue. And don't worry, I am going to cover up these little hot glue beads later on. You guys will see how I do that. Next up, I'm going to add this other type of foliage that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I just cut off little segments again that I'm going to use in the terrain. I'm also going to be hot gluing these in place, and I just try to put them in places that seem like they would make sense. I want to vary each little area of plants here with different kinds of shrubs. I'm trying my best to control the stringing, so I just put a little bead down, then I press the plant right in there, and I hold it for a few seconds to make sure that it stays in place. Now I want to hide some of those hot glue beads, so I use some tacky glue, cover over those areas, and then I use these little tufts of darker foliage to accomplish that. Not only do they help me hide those glue areas, but I also think it looks pretty cool. If you've watched my video on how to create little terrain bases, you've seen me use this before. This is just a Mod Podge water solution in a dropper. I add in some droplets over the little pieces of shrubbery that we just put in to make sure that they stay in place because they're glued down with tacky glue, and this will just make them a little bit more solid. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint and install these little shrubs on this diorama, and I hope that I'll see you in the next video.
Vascotoys, action figure dioramas and props.